Hello, and welcome to the brand new feature for the channel. It's been a while since we've chatted, and we're going to bring a new idea of my life in film, which means we're going to go through every year I've been alive to look at my top 10 and a couple of other things, with the first one being 1987. It was a great year. I haven't seen as many movies as I probably should have from this year, so without any further ado, let's get into number 10. The Lost Boys. One of my all-time favorite vampire movies. Not going to be the only vampire movie on this list. Spoiler alert for you all. This one has a great cast. We have Kiefer Sutherland as the villainous leader of the gang that is trying to recruit the young character. We have the two Coreys trying to stop him. And we have a lot of cheesy gothic scenes where we're trying to play along the teenage drama, but we're also including the horror elements of the movie. A very entertaining movie, one of my favourites, a must-watch from 1987. Number 9. A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors. For me, this is the most entertaining sequel in Nightmare on Elm Street series. I don't think it's the best. We'll get to that in a future episode. But with this one, we follow a string of children who have been through personal and mental problems that have now decided, who have all become the latest victims of Freddy Krueger. We have the return of Nancy, which is huge for the franchise. We have some of the most unique kills in the whole series. We also start with the more comedic side to how Freddy gets rid of his victims, with the most notable being the television one, where he drags the woman into the television and says, "Welcome to primetime, bitch," as he kills her. Brilliant stuff. We have the guy who has his veins pulled out and turned into a puppet. Wow, how he did that was fantastic. So again, fantastic cast, fantastic movie, great sequel. I must watch. So we're going to look at the biggest ones I have not seen from 1987. This is going to be the surprise list because I haven't seen many. Dirty Dancing. Not really something I'm going to enjoy. Spaceballs. I'm just not into comedy. Planes, Trains and Automobiles. Don't like comedy. Moonstruck. I don't know why I haven't seen it. So Nicolas Cage is in this movie. I have to have seen it, right? With Now and I has such a big reputation. It's just something I've never got around to seeing. And the final one is The Last Emperor. This is the one I most want to see on this list. One of the ones who won the most Oscars and all that. I feel like it's one I need to really get around to seeing one day. Back to the list. We're at number 8. And we are with Lethal Weapon. Again, considered more of a classic of the era. I like the action, I like the comedy, I like the buddiness between the two very different characters. Mel Gibson and Danny Glover are fantastic to watch. We have the loose cannon at times in Mel Gibson's character, while we have the more calmer approach from Danny Glover, but we both know they could swap that up at any moment in this movie. Number 7, The Untouchables. Another one I would expect to see higher on the list, or you probably would. The main reason it isn't is because I'm not into gangster movies that much. I know we have a fantastic cast here. We have Costner, De Niro, Connery, Garcia. It's a who's who of the elite at the time. We have one of the most memorable sequences on that stairwell, which again is shot so perfectly well to make everything feel more intense to what's going on. Number 6, The Princess Bride. It is easily probably the best movie of this year. Not my favourite though. This is my favourite. Deal with it. We have all of the characters from the fairy tale being read to the young boy, and everything's just so over the top. We have inconceivable, which somehow becomes ingrained in your head throughout the movie. And we have You Killed My Father, Prepare to Die. We have Andre the Giant appearing in this movie, perfectly cast as well, with everything done well, entertaining, fairy tale. It still feels timeless, this movie. So we're going to jump into a film I didn't like, which in other years I'm going to hope is a bit longer. But for this, we only have one, and that is Jaws the Revenge. It is a terrible, terrible movie. It's poorly made, poorly shot. Michael Caine enjoyed the paycheck he got. He's admitted this multiple times. Number 5, Robocop. Yes, we're hitting the cheesy, over-the-top action movies and an element of sci-fi here. We have the cop who gets killed, nearly killed, pretty much killed, and turned into a Robocop, and he fights crime. This is one of the movies that had one of the goriest moments of my younger years watching, when the guy pretty much melts on the car when it hits him. Freaked me out for ages. But we have some great robots, a couple that haven't aged as well, but still. We have a very clever story. We don't hold back on anything with this movie. It's entertaining from start to finish. Number 4, Near Dark. Maybe the more surprising one to make the list here is another vampire movie. Yeah, I did tell you there would be another one. This one follows a young man who gets bitten by a vampire. Again, bit like Lost Boys, but it's a much darker tale of how he's being joined into this gang of criminal vampires. Now, where this one is a lot more entertaining is the fact that we see them slowly burn, where they just get burnt rather than just blow up in flames, or they catch fire, but you can put the fire out and they get hurt rather than just die. They can survive the sun if they have limited time in it. We have a unique age group of everyone involved, where we have like a young kid who's part of the gang who's stuck in that age for his life, because he's a vampire, of course. We also have a clever twist on how you could cure being a vampire in this one. Number 3, The Running Man. Yes, Arnold's here at last to save the day. The Running Man follows him as he gets framed for some crimes and then thrown into a game show, because the game show host wants ratings to win. And the game is basically these celebrity murderers chasing down criminals, and if the criminal escapes, they get their freedom. And Arnie is the latest victim of this, along with his friends who escaped jail with him, and the young lady who ends up almost helping him escape, but learning the truth about who he really was. The game show host is full of the charisma that you would imagine to see a corruption-led game show host run by. We have the over-the-top villains, each one more colourful than the last. Brilliant to see. Arnie has the best one-liners you're ever going to see from him in this one. He's had a couple in other movies, but they're just ones or twos. This one is like, every time he opens his mouth, it's something funny and over the top. So, number 2, Evil Dead 2. How could I not put this on my list? I am a big Evil Dead fan. I think this franchise is fantastic. Evil Dead 2 is kind of a semi-sequel / remake, because they didn't own the rights to do a sequel at the time. So they just quickly hashed in why Ash was alone, and then had all the madness happen. And Bruce Campbell takes this character to new levels in this movie. He becomes the icon that we know and love in the horror industry. We wouldn't have got Ash versus the Evil Dead if it wasn't for this and Army of Darkness later. There's so much you can just enjoy about this movie. When he has to fight his own hand, to get that to work and be entertaining, many people would fail. Bruce shines. It is a must watch. And number 1, Predator. How could it not be Predator? I love the Predator movie. I have a soft spot for all the Predator movies, but this one is above and beyond the rest. We have the military men trying to do a bit of a rescue mission, I believe it was, and on their way out of the jungle they start getting hunted by a predator who is deadlier than they are. We have bullets flying everywhere. But we have a predator that is created to look and feel like a threat, which is sometimes a lot of movies struggle to do. When it comes to the final showdown between Arnie and the predator itself, brilliant, such a clever twist on how you're going to do a big final action movie. We see how Arnie's character Dutch starts to learn how to evolve to beat the predator, and he relishes the challenge of somebody who could give him a challenge of being killed, basically. It is my favourite movie of 1987. Let me know what your favourite movie of 1987 is in the comments below, and whether you agree with my list at all. Thank you for watching this video.